Hello, folks. It's Tom. Been a while since I've talked to you. I've been pretty busy, both in my personal life and writing, and had some major hacking issues and decided not to be online that much anymore. Well, sometimes you get tired of other people making up the decisions for you, so I decided to put my little laptop on and do a YouTube and say hello to my friends out there, all 27 of you. Isn't it interesting? You get 300 phone calls on your video, but you only get 27 hits on your counter. It is kind of comical. But we live in funny times, don't we? Speaking of funny times and funny time people, Mr. Obama. I like Mr. Obama. He's very entertaining. He's charismatic. He's a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful guy, just like the media says he is. And of course, he's legitimate because how could you get away with anything in this government? I mean, unless, of course, you were a tool of the government of the special interest. So I was looking at Sheriff Joe Arpaio and all the efforts that he's making on the birth certificate and all the things that are being taught about the birth certificate, this, that, and the other thing. I went through this with Philip Berg, attorney Philip Berg from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Very, very nice man. And we kicked it around, and he showed me the birth certificate that was supposedly from Kenya, and supposedly Mr. Obama's birth certificate. And I looked at it, and I said, well, this is something that nobody's ever said before. I said, the weights and measures are wrong. And he said, what do you mean? And I said, well, if it was an English crown colony, okay, if it was an English crown colony, the weights and measures would be in stone. But if they went by European standards, it would be metric, centimeters and kilograms. I says it would not be in ounces and inches. I believe that this certificate was manufactured for American consumption. And once I saw that, and once we agreed on it, we ended our investigation, and then Donald Trump got involved with it. A very high-profile, well-financed gentleman that had a television show, and I got in touch with Mr. Cohen, and Phil got in touch with Mr. Cohen, and we completely schooled these gentlemen on what the difference is between a birth certificate and certificate of live birth. So after we spent all of our time, we actually started to sit back and wait to see what was going to happen and wait for the fireworks to start. I see Donald Trump on the television, and he's waving a certificate of live birth. Well, which is not, in fact, a birth certificate. And I went absolutely ballistic. I called Mr. Berg, and I said, Phil, what's going on? These guys know better than that. And he says, I don't know. And then all of a sudden, I find out Rahm Emanuel, Mr. Obama's right hand, granted Donald Trump licensing for casinos in Chicago. When I found that out, by the time I found it out, Mr. Berg would not answer the phone to me. Okay, I guess he already knew. I'm not going to think the worst of him because he does a lot of patriot situation. But I was completely happy with the investigation, knowing that was not generated, in fact, in Kenya and everything. But then something came up a little bit later. I'm looking through a book, and it says about a written book, not an online book, but an actual written book on Africa. And it said in the book that Kenya got its independence from Britain in 1965. 1965. What was the date on Mr. Obama's birth certificate, and what did it say? It said Kenya on it, right? At the time of Mr. Obama's birth, wherever he was born, in Hawaii, in the hospital that has the wrong name, or in The country that has the wrong name. At the time, it was the British province of West Africa. Okay? They didn't even get the name right. They must think that the American people are pretty damn stupid. And I feel pretty damn stupid not knowing this at this particular time. After doing a partial investigation, I just looked at the prima facie evidence, which in fact was the weights and measures were wrong, and I didn't have to go any further. But come on, guys, if you're going to come up with a lie, at least make it partially convincing.